All right, today we're going to talk about making a controller for our Marionette. So the first thing you're going to need is coffee and candy if you have that. Preferably like Tootsie Rolls or something like that. And eat a whole bunch of that before you get started. You're going to need some wooden dowel. So this is a 1-inch wooden dowel that I got at Home Depot. It's about $5.50 and it was 4 feet long. All right, so I cut my wooden dowel into 2 pieces. All right, one that's 12 inches and one that's 10 inches. And the 12-inch one I have marked where the center is lengthwise and where the center is widthwise at 4 inches. All right, so this is where the other arm is going to go across. All right, so there's lots of different ways to attach this. For me, I'm just going to use screws. All right, so I have a couple of screws here. So you want your screw to go, I'm using 1-inch dowel, so I want it to go all the way through the one piece of dowel and halfway at least through the second piece of dowel. You obviously don't want it to come all the way through. So if I add 1 inch and a 1/2 inch, I need at least 1.5 inches of screw, right? But you're probably, so this is a 1.5, this is, and I'll just show you on the ruler here, this is 1 3/4 and this is 2. So obviously we shouldn't use the 2 because it might go all the way through. But we have a 1 3/4, so that'll go all the way through 1 3/4 of the way through the other one. So I would suggest that you use this. And for me, this is just a random screw that I had, like it's a used screw. All right. Other stuff that you're going to need is going to be some eye hooks to attach the strings, and a cup hook. This is really useful for hanging your marionette up after it's made. All right, and that's going to go on the top. And the other thing you're going to need is 2 magnets. So I bought this entire package of little magnets. I bought this entire package of little magnets for I think about $2 at the dollar store. So not hugely expensive. And this is what we're going to use to attach this other piece of dowel, which is also, I think this is a 10-inch piece also. So you're going to want to attach this onto your main controller, and I use magnets to do that. All right, and this is going to be the arm controller for our Frankenstein's monster. All right, so let me just show you how I'm going to do that really quickly. So I'm going to drill a hole all the way through this with my Dremel tool. All right, so I'm just going to go all the way through this with my Dremel tool, and I'm going to put a hole in the smaller piece that's going to go almost all the way through. And those are called pilot holes. And the reason we drill pilot holes is so that we don't crack the dowel. If you just try to screw 2 pieces of dowel together without putting a pilot hole, it's entirely possible that it'll go through, but it's also likely that it will crack it, and you'll end up with a split piece of dowel. All right, so I'm going to drill those really quickly. And I'm just drilling it on my bench on another piece of 2x6. All right, so that's it. I just drilled 2 quick holes. One that goes all the way through and the other one goes part way through. All right. So again, I pre-marked these, so I knew where the center was. I knew where the center was left to right and lengthwise, And the same with this, I knew where the center was, left to right and lengthwise. So I'm just going to screw those two things together now. All right. So I'll do that and then I'll come back and I'll show you it. All right, so I screwed those two pieces together. So you're going to hold this on the top, and these are going to be for the legs. All right, so don't hold it like this. It'll be top heavy and it'll always want to roll over. So hold it with the thing on the bottom. The shorter one, it goes on the bottom. All right, and this shorter one for the arms is going to sit on the top with the magnets. All right, so the next thing that you want to do is put in, if you flip this over, you want to put in an eye hook here, an eye hook here, and an eye hook here. This is going to be leg, leg, and this one here could be for your head, or for me it's going to be for my head. All right, so you could also put your head one on here, but for me, I'm going to put my head one here. So again, you're going to just drill a couple of pilot holes and screw in your eye hooks. So I'll do that now. All right, so I'm just putting this last eye hook in here, and you want it to be fairly parallel so your string isn't getting hooked up on it. Okay, so that's it. I have a little hole here for my cup hook to go into, but I'm not going to put that on until I'm done stringing my marionette. So basically, you can make this as complicated or as simple as you want. This one is fairly simple. I have so imagine it's down like this. So I have a left leg control, a right leg control, and this is going to be for the head to turn the head left and right. This is going to sit on here with the eye hooks down actually. So I put two small eye hooks in this piece here, which is going to control the hands. All right, so all I have left now to do is to glue two magnets onto here. So one magnet is going to go on here and one magnet is going to go on here, and then those two magnets are going to stick together and they're going to hold your arm controller on here. Okay, so it's pretty important that you make sure that your magnets are going to grip each other. In other words, there's a positive and a negative, and if you flip them over, they're still going to be positive and negative. But if you flip only one over, you're going to have two positives together and they're going to repel, right? So it has to be that the two are sticking together, and then you have to remember that somehow. So the way that I show it is I just simply put an X on these two sides, the sides that are facing out, and I know those are the two sides that I have to glue down. All right, so one side with an X on it, is going to get glued onto here, so I just simply put an X here. The other one that needs to have a X on it, or that is going to get glued down, is going to have an X on it here. So I put X to X and X to X. All right. You want to glue those on fairly parallel. However, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day if they end up parallel or not. I'm going to glue them together with just a little bit of weld bond. But here's a piece of advice. Take a piece of sandpaper and rough this up a little bit. Rough this up a little bit, and rough up each side of the magnet a little bit. If you do that, you will get a way better bond. If you don't do that, it's like putting one slick surface on another slick surface, and they don't want to join together very well, okay? So again, just a little bit of weld bond on each one of them, glue them together, all right? So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and show you. But essentially, you're just going to take a piece of sandpaper and rough it up, all right? Okay, so there's the first one that I did with the arm controller, and the magnet is just glued on with a little bit of weld bond. You can see how it's wet underneath there. So I've just propped it up against this ruler to hold it up. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to say that your arm controller is going to go on here. We're just going to take a piece of sandpaper, rough it up just a little bit like that. Take the magnet that has the X side, right? We're going to scrape up the X side a little bit. Okay, just with the sandpaper. We're going to take a little bit of our weld bond glue and put a little bit of our weld bond glue on there, just about that much. And then we're going to go to the sanded up piece of dowel, and we're just going to put this on, and we're going to make sure that it's kind of fairly level with the bar that goes across here, and that looks pretty good. All right, and then I'm going to suggest that you just set that down, check it every once in a while. You could use a piece of tape to tape it into place, but essentially just leave it and go drink the rest of your coffee and come back in an hour or so. Okay, so it's been about 3 hours since I glued this, and you'll see that the glue is pretty much dried now. But this is how the mechanism is going to go together. The two magnets are just going to hold the arm control on, and that's it. You'll see it'll stay on. I guess if you shook it really badly, you could knock it off, but we're not going to do that with marionettes anyways. So yeah, so that's it. The last thing to do would be to put your little cup hook, which I just dropped on the floor, but to put your cup hook onto there to make it easier to hang. Marionettes store better when you hang them. Anyway, so that's it, how to make a controller for your marionette. So if you liked this video, please click like, and better yet, subscribe to my channel so you can see all the upcoming things that we have going on. And thanks for watching.